and say the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Phelps, would you call the roll, please?
Taylor Christian. Here. Terry Lally.
Here.
Amy White.
Here.
Ralph Wentz.
Here.
Brian Bagwell.
Here. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our October 19th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, may I have a motion to approve them?
I motion.
Terry makes the motion. Can I have a second?
A second.
Amy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And on to Mr. Phillips and the treasurer's report.
Okay, our general fund balance in the regular general fund was $4,044,239.31. Our bond retirement fund at the end of October was $1,883,650.51. We just had a little over $9,000 payment go out for the December 1st payment, so that now will be under $1 million. On the grants, see a lot of big numbers there. I did do a cash request, and it did come. The cash did come in. The project cash request for the federal grants, but it didn't arrive by October 31st. It arrived earlier in May. I don't know where that came from. November, and a little over $150,000 in grant monies came in. So a lot of those numbers you see it in the 500 section at the end of the cash summary report have been greatly lowered. Okay, our total depository, and I'll do it individually. Farmers, $4,833,083.58. Premier Bank, $1,046,054.78. Star Ohio, $241,557.22. Those three total $6,120,695.58. Against that, outstanding checks of $29,002.62. We had a deposit in transit at the end of the month for the cafeteria of $323.75. And when you do the math there, our adjustments are negative $28,678.87. As always, we had the $780 in petty cash, and the math does total up with the all funds balance on the cash summary report of $6,092,796.71. You also received the appropriation, revenue, and disbursements reports. And if there are any questions on any of those, I can entertain those now. And if not, I'm done.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Phillips on the treasurer's report? If not, may I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Brian moves.
Brian makes the motion. May I have a second?
Taylor seconds.
Taylor seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And on to new business, and Mrs. Carlson.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to start. Mr. Rowan is here to speak for the administration.
Good evening, everyone. Good news from the elementary schools. The last week of October was Red Ribbon Week. In the elementary, the staff and students would like to thank Mrs. Maynard, Officer Hartman, who planned a variety of activities for the week that focused on the theme of being drug-free. Each day there was a positive theme and message, and Mrs. Maynard and Officer Hartman visited the classrooms to meet with all of our students. Mr. Davis would also like to thank his teachers and PTO who made their Harvest Day special for their students on October 30th. Staff and students dressed in costumes in each classroom participated in various Halloween activities throughout the day. PTO prepared special treat bags for every student to enjoy at the end of the day, as most classrooms watched the movie in their classrooms. Treat bags were also put together for remote students to pick up the following week. The Green Team held a recycling contest the week of November 9 through 13 at the elementary celebrate America Recycles Day on Sunday, November 15th. Each day last week, a recycling fact was read over the announcements, and the students were encouraged to bring a refillable water bottle to school. On Friday, the students who participated were entered into a drawing to win an eco-friendly bag filled with eco-friendly prizes. Congratulations to Liliana Alvarez for winning the grand prize. From the middle school, this week, the middle school is promoting Bully Prevention Week. Student council sharing anti-bullying, spreading kindness messages on the morning announcements. Each day will be themed to encourage positive behaviors. Monday, team up against bullying behaviors, favorite team / jersey day. Tuesday, put a cap on negative behavior, be kind, hat day. Wednesday, travel down the road to kindness, happy tours day. Thursday, make bullying a thing of the past, throwback day, pick a decade. And Friday, we have a dream, kindness rules, and SRMS pajama day. Student council in the middle school sponsoring canned good food drive. This whole week, the 16th through the 20th, all canned goods will be donated to a local food pantry. Homeroom in each grade level collecting the most canned goods will receive a special treat. And then the last thing for the middle school is Emma Kirsten is the fifth grade student of the month. She's recognized by her fifth grade teachers for her exemplary work in all of her classes. She's a model of the Pride mission at the middle school, and so congratulations goes out to Emma. And then from the high school, I would just say my good news for the last month has been, in our school, our community, we always brag about how people step up and how we do the right thing and how, it's a community. And I'm going to say the past few weeks of my personal life, they haven't been the easiest. I was in quarantine for 4 days and then all 5 days last week, so I missed 9 days of school. And Mrs. Carlson was in my office every day. So she's doing her job, she's doing my job. My staff was unbelievable. They knew that I wanted to be here. They sent well wishes to my wife who was ill. They sent well wishes to me. They stepped up like what would be expected, or what is always the case in our building, no matter what building it is. It was just my staff's turn to kind of fill in and take care of everything that I do on a daily basis of running the school. Everything was pretty smooth. I will say, from a parent standpoint, the high school teachers that my son has in the high school were absolutely unbelievable. Google meeting with him, keeping him in the loop, helping him with whatever he needed help with. The 8th grade team with my younger son in the middle school, every day, every period, he was on the computer interacting with the kids, interacting with the teachers. They totally kept him in the loop, and were able to come back to school today. And I'm not going to say not miss a beat, because obviously when you're not in school, you absolutely miss a beat. But I will say that our staff, they did an unbelievable job. They did an unbelievable job for my kids, and as a parent, I couldn't ask for more. Okay? So I definitely wanted to make sure that I publicly thank my staff, thank Mrs. Carlson, Joanne Kane, and Lisa Gorby in my office. They all stepped up and did more than they normally have to do when I'm there, and they took care of the building. And it was like, it's like every other day, like I'm not there, I guess. So, but I appreciate everything that they did. On behalf of all of our staffs in all 3 buildings, we'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, blessed Thanksgiving, and I hope that everybody has a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Rowan. Nick, go through the list real quick, just as a reminder. Food service, Mrs. Pierce had her baby. Everybody's doing well. Athletics, Mr. Farron.
I had to put my glasses down, my readers down here, because I did have to make the font a little smaller than normal. That's a good thing, because our fall sports season was incredible. There's a lot of you up here that have went to school here at South Range, been part of the community your whole lives. There's people in the audience tonight that have been with South Range for a number of years. successful fall sports season, winter sports season, or even spring sports season than what we had here in the last 51 years of this school's existence. Our middle school cross-country team, our boys team, they were NEA champions. They were county champions. 7th grade volleyball team, NEA champions. 7th and 8th grade football teams, 2nd place in the NEA. High school, the boys golf team, they finished 4th in the NEA tournament. They were sixth in the sectional tournament, 8 strokes off of advancing to the district tournament. Our high school volleyball team ended up 2nd place in the NEA, and they actually advanced to the district semifinals. Boys soccer team finished 2nd in the NEA and advanced to the regional finals, losing to the eventual state runner-up, and their overall record was 13-5-2. The girls soccer team finished 2nd in the NEA, advanced to the regional final, losing to the eventual state champion. Their record overall was 15-4-1. The football team finished the regular season undefeated with a 6-0 record. They were, and I'm going to put the air quotes out there, unofficially, because it is not official, the NEA champs. They lost in the regional final and finished with an overall record of 9-1, and I think the team they lost to will be the eventual state champion. Emily Rizzo, she was a highlight of the girls cross-country team this year. She advanced to the state meet, and she finished 74th out of 176 runners. The boys cross-country team came in 1st place at the NEA meet, qualified for the state meet, and at the state meet, they finished 8th overall as a team. Spencer Bush and Michael Viznos earned All-Ohio honors, placing 4th and 26th overall. One thing that I feel as an athletic director, a teacher here, more important than all of our athletic honors that we have, we've had 5 seniors that have signed national letters of intent to go on and continue their academic and athletic careers. And those 5 seniors that have already signed are Izzy Lamparty, she's going to play basketball at Shawnee State. Jillian Strakanski is going to play softball at Marietta College. Bree Kohler is going to play softball at Youngstown State. Jacob Gehring is going to play baseball at The Ohio State University, as much as it pains me to say that. And Trey Pancake is also going to play baseball at The Ohio State University. Sorry, Mrs. Lewis, we couldn't take him up north. Next month, I'm sure I can come back here and I'm going to give you a lot more honors that our student athletes are going to have. The NEA All-League selections take place this Sunday, and I'm sure that our student athletes are going to be loaded on those teams, as well as the Northeast Ohio voting and the All-State voting. In wintertime right now, we're moving forward as planned. I'm hoping that gets to happen, but I'm not real sure right now what will go on. So that's the athletic report.
Thank you, Mr. Farron. Next up, Ms. Lewis, do you have anything for curriculum?
One question announcement. Unfortunately, it's hard to kind of follow that one. It has been an incredible fall for the kids. Normally, we have the special ed profile that comes out annually to kind of go over 6 different essential questions that we as service providers are measured on for our students' performances. And we've been delayed due to COVID and closure and so forth. So we have not received last year's special education profile, and we are about to get last year's and this year. So that should come out at the beginning of this December. So I'll look forward to sharing the results of that with you in December.
Thank you. tag nada, other than our Chromebooks, part of our Chromebook delivery that arrived today. I'm thinking with maintenance and technology, we're plugging away.
Yes, we are. And we did get a shipment of Chromebooks in. It was an accidental shipment, but nevertheless, I'm working with the vendor to keep those Chromebooks because if we didn't get these in, I can't say how long it would be till we actually got the Chromebooks in we ordered. So it's all clear. It's on the up and up. It's just that they made a mistake on their end and they inadvertently shipped us Chromebooks. So we'll take it. We could use it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mrs. Foley, Legislative Liaison
I
report.
don't have anything for today.
Mr. Christian, anything for Student Achievement Liaison?
I don't have anything small.
That'll be all.
Okay, next up will be a number of board policy adoptions that we put up for consideration last month. Any questions or any comments from anybody on those?
Yeah, I actually do have one quick question. On 3124, that's the contract one. Does that pretty much just give us more flexibility as to length of contracts, or am I reading that wrong?
They literally just moved the word administration, so the administrators are not in there. It's all about just the teachers' contracts
Okay,
now.
so everything is
Before it used to be both.
Okay.
That's all it changed was administration was removed.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, if not, we'll slide over to Mr. Phillips and the 5-year forecast.
Okay, you received the assumptions and the forecast, and in the executive summary at the beginning, wasn't all that different from spring. Pointed out that it's pretty challenging in the age of COVID to come up with reasonable assumptions. But we did, and I think it was pretty conservative on revenue and expenditures as well. We don't know. Well, one of the things I wanted to mention is last year, you'll recall when we did final appropriations, we spent, because the last 3 months were COVID of last year, we spent about 3% less than we had anticipated spending. That's because, over time, things, extra bus trips, any bus trips for athletics and that sort of thing didn't happen. And so we saved money, and just like expenditures or revenue, whenever something happens for the good or the bad, you have to multiply it by 5 to see what the effect's going to be at the end of the 5-year forecast. And so you'll notice on the forecast itself, we have a positive balance through 2023, got about $750,000, just under $750,000 forecasted. That well on the last forecast. So we are coming out a little bit better. On the other hand, we have been in school this year. The increases, because they were lower last year, things that might increase 3% normally might be a 6% increase now, because we're sort of, I don't want to say back to normal, but we're doing the things we've been doing. Maybe not as much. We had less home or less away football games than we normally have, and so things like that will matter. But all said, I don't know if there are any questions on the assumptions, but everything is in revenue and expenditures. I talked about the percentages they used and why, and these, as I say every time, this isn't a budget, this is a forecast, and it's a forecast given the assumptions that we have, and that the boards, I think I used a big word like modus operandi. If we do what we've been doing and operate the programs we've been operating, that is where we would be given the reasonable assumptions that are within this forecast. Lots of things could change the way, for the good, for the better, or for the worse in the environment that we're in. But this is the best we can come up with right now, and I don't think we're going to have any earth-shattering events happen where we're going to be broke next year or anything. Basically, right now, the financial status of the district is good. Are there any questions on anything contained in the assumptions? You will notice on line 6.010, I always like to talk about my favorite line item. I do have, on 6.010, this fiscal year, I have us spending $181,000 more than we have coming in. So this is, last year we had about $300,000 revenue over expenditures. So this is the first year, and then we're spending in the red for the next 5 years. And that's just a cyclical thing. Back in the days when we used to pass levies, that levy money would start coming in, you'd hit a peak, and then it'd start going down. Now we make cuts, and so, we made cuts, I think it was in 2 years ago. You can see from fiscal year 18 to fiscal year 19, we went from $7,029,000 in salaries to $6,902,000 in salaries. And we went from $2.9 million to $2.8 million in benefits. Those cuts helped us to stay another year, which was last year, fiscal year 20. But this year we are forecasted to spend more than we bring in, and going forward as well. And that's the key, or the clue to the board that it's time to start thinking about, even though our forecast is good right now, it's time to start thinking about, are you going to raise revenue or are you going to make more cuts? We've made cuts to finance this district since about 2008 or 2010 now. Started in 2008 with the recession, and then I think our first big set of cuts was the 10-11 school year. We've done it 3 times, big cuts 3 times. We've done lots of little cuts, and there's only so much you can cut and still have a district and still have something that works good for kids and families. So, but it's something we're going to have to look at.
Okay, anybody else, have any questions for Mr. Phillips on the 5-year forecast? Okay, if not, back over to Mrs. Carlson and Ski Club.
Every year we approve our ski club so that Mr. Kuser, who is a volunteer, he runs our ski club. We're going to board approve it. I'm asking for the approval for it, just in case it can happen. We actually haven't received any of the regulations yet. We don't exactly know what the ski resorts will even offer. We don't know if we could reduce, Mr. Rowan and I talked, reduce the amount that can participate, first come, first serve, so less busing. But I didn't want it to be mid-December and a whole bunch of snow falls, and it is capable, and we weren't approved. So it is pending. Mr. Kuser knows it's pending. We're going to evaluate it and determine if it's a safe thing for us to do with our kids, but just asking for approval early.
Okay, next up will be the consideration of substitute pay, the floating substitute pay increase.
As I've mentioned in the past, a lot of school districts did hire their floating subs for a substantial increase. We started the year off with a little bump. We lost actually 2 that were going to help us out on a routine basis due to schools offering them increase plus insurance. So I'm just asking the board to give it another little bump to keep the people we have on, and the other 3 that we've attained that want to work with us, that will stay with us through the year. And we have used them on a daily basis and even been short a day or 2 where we've not. In fact, I think today we had to double up gym and music in a big, large gym area at least, because we were still short even with our people we have here every day.
Okay, next up will be the approval of the high school band trip that they do once every 4 years to Disney World.
Yes, we're asking for the approval now because they'll have to put together a video to send and present so that they could be chosen for March of 2022. So they need permission so they can start working on this and send away the appropriate documentation to be selected.
Next up will be a few more payments in lieu of transportation.
Yeah, there's just 2 more students who've been identified that we need to do payment in lieu of.
And next up will be the consideration of purchasing another 72 passenger bus. Jim, are you wanting to talk about that first, about the finance side of it?
Yes, we had 1 bid from Myers Equipment, which is 1 more than we had in February when we went out to bid. And it was in the neighborhood of, here it is, I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was $90,040, but we had two that we're trading in for $4,000. So the final cost is $86,040. You'll also recall, I think Mrs. Carlson put in the letter that we had the $31,749 bus grant. So that the $86,000 of that $31,749 will be reimbursed. And then also the bus that was wrecked in the accident, we've got a settlement check of $5,700, I think it was, in that neighborhood. So, you know, we've been paying in the $85,000 range for several years now, and this one's going to be, all told, with the grant and the insurance reimbursement on the other buses and the trade-ins, this one's going to be a little under $50,000. So that worked out pretty good for us.
So, question real quick, that on the reimbursement check, that was one of our newer buses, correct?
No, it was a 2007. And
Oh, that was a 2007?
Yes.
Okay, because I was gonna ask why only such little, if it was that old. I guess I understand. I thought it was a newer bus than that. Thank
I
you.
thought it was too, but it was 13 years old, and I can't remember the mileage, but it was, I think, about 140,000.
That answers that question then, so. Anything you'd like to add, Mrs. Carlson, about the bus purchase?
No, I mean, it's just, we're really fortunate to have the government grant money to
Yep.
kind of a third of the way help us help the district, and the fact that we do need to replace the wrecked bus, this timing couldn't have been better actually for that grant.
Let's see. Next up would be public participation on agenda items. Is there anybody that has any questions about any of the agenda items? And if so, could you step up to the microphone and state your name and address, and we will hold you to 2 minutes. Okay, seeing there is none, we will go back for approval. First up will be the board policy adoptions of all the policies there. May I have a motion to approve the board policy changes?
I motion.
Terry makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Amy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up will be the adoption of the 5-year forecast. May I have a motion to approve the 5-year forecast?
So moved.
Amy moves. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Terry seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up will be the approval of the high school ski club, providing that they are able to do that. Can I have a motion, please?
Taylor moves.
Taylor makes the motion. Can I have a second?
Brian seconds.
Brian seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up will be the increase for the floating subs that we have on staff here, going to $100 a day for the 2021 school year, retroactive to November 2nd. May I have a motion for that?
Brian moves.
Brian makes the motion. May I have a second?
Taylor seconds.
Taylor seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next will be the approval of the high school band trip for March 23rd through the 28th of 2022 to Disneyland. Can I have a motion for that?
I'll motion.
Terry makes the motion. May I have a second?
Taylor seconds.
Taylor seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up will be approval of the additional names for in lieu of transportation for the 2021 school year, providing they have the proper documentation. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Amy moves. May I have a second?
Brian seconds.
Brian makes a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up will be the purchase of the new 72 passenger bus from Myers Equipment for $86,040, which does include the 2 buses that we are trading in. May I have a motion for that?
Taylor moves.
Taylor makes a motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Amy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And next up will be non-agenda items. If anybody has anything they'd like to bring to the board at this time, same rules apply. Step up to the microphone, state your name and your address, and we will hold you to 2 minutes. Okay, seeing none, we will move back to Mrs. Carlson for the October, November, December district update.
A lot of the district update, actually, it's like they said, a lot of what we've had happening is our amazing athletic season. Speech and debate is on a roll. They're doing very good. Just to let everybody know, with speech and debate, they are doing it virtually. So the kids are literally in front of a Chromebook, and they are doing their presentation with judges on the other end. Sometimes there's one kid in a classroom, and they're just set up that way, or they're doing it from home. So you can't even read your audience to see if you need to change the way you're doing something to gauge your scoring and kind of change your behaviors. So they're doing a fabulous job so far, middle school and the high school. And, I really kudos to the girls that are running it, because they reached out through social media, even got some more middle school kids involved to kind of expand our speech and debate team. Knowing that we had some kids at home doing remote, we have a couple kids doing it because they knew they could do it remotely, so we got them involved. So we really, thank them for doing a great job. As you heard in my one call, just again, really thanking our community. We have a very responsible community right now. We've got some families that are taking time to call the attendance line, making statements like, I think I was exposed, I think my kid was exposed. Ms. Peterson, Ms. Gorby, and I sit, we call the parent back, we walk through it. Ms. Peterson's like, tells them flat out, bring your kid to school right now. Nope, you're like 3 steps removed, you're fine, or let's give it a day and see if you find an answer out from that person and then bring your child in. So they're doing a really good job. I really thank Ms. Gorby and Ms. Peterson for all their hard work. We have a direct line to one of the nurses and helpers at the health center or the health department, so we're getting the same answer all the time because we call the same person, which has kind of helped with consistency. But just people letting us know ahead of time has really helped us preventatively fix things, change things, kind of be prepared, work on it, work with staff. As Mr. Rowan said, the staff for the intermittent quarantine kids that are in the classroom every day but then have to be out, whether it be a week, whether it be 2 weeks, just making that adjustment on the fly, because the administration walk up and say, got a kid quarantined, they won't be here for X amount of days, and the teachers are just immediately, the parents and students are quickly emailing their teachers, telling them. So the Google Classroom, the technology, they're really using that to really help. One thing I really want to say is just to remind our community and to remind everybody, the whole quarantine thing is tricky because we have had some cases where by the time the test result comes back, the quarantine window started on symptom date, which might have even been 6 days before the test was even given, and the student can legally, medically, per the health department, come back to school in 2 days because it just took that long. Some people have waited 4 or 5 days to get a test, and then 5-6 days before we get the result. The student may only be quarantined for a short period, and I want to thank our staff because they've been really good with understanding, okay, that's how it's going to happen. But we've had a few that by the time it all worked out, they were only quarantined for a short bit. So it's not always 14 days out of school. It might be shorter, and everybody's doing a really good job just adjusting and trusting the health department that we are doing what's right for our school and everything. So I just want to thank everybody for all of that. As we head into December, November, we see a lot of schools starting to go remote here and there because of either the number of quarantine students, there's just more out than in, so it's smarter to do that. Staff members seems to be the biggest issue with a lot of schools. If you don't have enough staff members physically in your building, it's easier and smarter to go remote, let them teach remotely so you're not paying for subs, you have classes covered, everybody's curriculum continues, and you get them back in. So we're trying really hard. I know the administration is working with the staff over this week and next, just put some plans in place if that were to happen here so our community is aware of the schedules. So we're just moving forward every day. We just reassess at the end of every day, and knock on wood right now, I think we're doing really good due to the responsibility of our community and what they're doing. But I want to stress, and actually, the governor kind of said it today, we don't need to shut down. We just maybe need to slow down. We just need to look at what we're doing and make sure we're being responsible so the community spread can slow down. And then that'll keep us in schools and keep everything open. So I stressed that on Friday in my one call. I just want to keep stressing it. Just think before we act our normal life that could this have a repercussion? Could it impact I hate to say it, the inconvenience of not being able to function in our schools? So, because we would prefer to stay open. The teachers want to be here. If we go remote, the teachers want to be in the building teaching remotely to the kids. They don't want to be at home. So everybody wants to be here, and that's our goal. So that's really my big update right now, which I know I try to keep everybody updated, the community and all of you guys weekly. So.
Okay, thank you very much, and, you know, just kudos I'll add to, well, we could just go through everybody, and I'd like to, you know, I'd say just, you know, everybody's part, from administration down to Dean's crew to our cafeteria crew, just our staff. It's greatly appreciated. I know that it just continues to be challenging for everybody, but really I continue to hear a lot of good positive things coming out from either folks that are here on a day-to-day basis or have students here, and also those outside our community that don't, or excuse me, in our community that don't have kids in school. So I look back to our teacher, staff representatives, you know, please express to your staff and your members that it is greatly appreciated, all the hard work that they're doing, and I do appreciate everything that how you guys have stepped up to the plate as well and stuff, and also to Mrs. Carlson, just being again thrown into the fire here, and for the support that you give us as board, and also the support for the administration team, and vice versa, the administration team supporting you as well. And back to your 5-year forecast, I debated whether to say something then or save it till now, but you know, I know it continues to be challenging in a normal year to put figures together, and this year is even more challenging and stuff. So as you continue to say, this isn't a budget, it's a forecast, and things change, and obviously when they change, that changes the outcome 5 years down the road and stuff there. So thank you for all your hard work into the 5-year forecast, especially this year. So with that, any other comments from board members?
I will say that Mrs. Carlson didn't get thrown in. She jumped in of her own will.
Yeah, no, she did.
She knew coming in.
Yeah.
Thank
I do
you.
understand that, so, and we appreciate that as well, so.
Ralph, if I could just add, you know, just to reiterate what you had said, we just can't express our gratitude enough to the staff and the administration. There's a lot of schools around us that have gone remote or had to go hybrid, and I think that everybody up here would agree that we're doing the right thing by keeping our kids in school, and it's not because of anything we're doing, it's because of what you guys are doing. So we just really can't thank you enough and tell you how proud we are of everything you've done.
Thank you, Brian. Next up will be executive session. The board and its committees would like to go to executive session for Ohio Revised Code 121.22 and Board Policy 0166 for the consideration, appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee, and also for the consideration and purchase of property for public purpose, or sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, unfit for use property at competitive bidding. At this time, I'd entertain a motion for executive session.
I motion.
Terry makes a motion. May I have a second? Second. Brian seconds. Mr. Phillips, roll call.
Taylor Christian,
Yes.
Terry Lally,
Yes.
Ralph Wentz,
Yes.
Amy White,
Yes.
Brian Bagwell.
Yes.
Board enters executive session at 7:39 p.m. Thank you all very much for your attendance. Okay, we are back in open session at 8:05. Next up would be personnel and Ms. Carlson.
Okay, the first one, I'm asking for approval for this school year to the following people for substitute teachers: Hannah Johnson, Michelle Wardle, Nicole Lester, and David Visignani. As of today, we received all paperwork for all of them. The second one is to approve as an itinerant or substitutes. These would be instructional teachers aides for the 2021 school year: Zachary McKenzie, Ashley Stellato, and Samantha Saccone. Next would be to approve the floating substitutes for the second semester at a rate of $100 per day. Christian Silvestri, Christine Horton, Nicole Barquette, Patricia Shaw, Richard Hura, Matt Giambattista, and Denise Cossack. The next one would be to modify the supplemental positions for the 2021 school year for the girls basketball coaches. Jeff Fischel to 14%, Josh Smith and Troy Scott to 12% each. Next would be to grant a one-year limited educational contract for the 2021 school year effective November 2nd for Diana Hatziggy. Next is accept the resignation of Nicole Lester as a long-term substitute for the 2021 school year effective November 25th. At that time, she will go back to just being a regular sub. Approve the MOU of Sherry Lewis's contract from 210 days to 230 days at her per diem rate, retroactive to August 1st, 2020. And then terminate the contract for technology assistant George McDowell, effective November 17th, 2020. Approve George McDowell now as a custodial assistant at year 0, effective November 17th, 2020. Approve John Richardson as a volunteer wrestling coach for the 2021 school year. He does have all of his PAP requirements. Approve Ross Lanzo as a volunteer freshman boys basketball coach for the 2021 school year. He also has his updated PAP. Approve the following ticket takers, scorekeepers, timekeepers, game videos, stats panel operators, and message center operators for 2021 winter sports season. They will get $30 per event. Paul Lindstrom, Kelly Leach, Sam Landry, Sarah Fischel, Gianna Rowan, Paul Munson, Angela Rosen, Joe McMahon, Drew Farron, Madison Helon, Macy Slaybaugh, Jillian Strakansky, TJ Irons, Donnie Farron, Dan Zolik, Steve Rowan, Harold McHugh, Jamie Farron, and Reagan Irons, and that would be all.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept all the personnel recommendations?
I motion.
Terry makes the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Amy seconds. Mr. Phillips, roll call, please.
Taylor Christian,
Yes.
Ralph Wentz,
Yes.
Terry Lally,
Yes.
Amy White,
Yes.
Brian Bagwell.
Yes.
And next up, we have an individual breakout here. Mrs.
Yes,
Carlson.
I'm asking for approval of the following supplemental contract for the 2021 school year: Brady White, boys 7th grade basketball.
May I have a motion to accept that?
Brian moves.
Brian moves. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Terry seconds. Mr. Phillips, roll call.
Taylor Christian,
Yes.
Ralph Wentz,
Yes.
Terry Lally,
Yes.
Brian Bagwell,
Yes.
Amy White.
Abstain.
Next up would be a motion for adjournment. May I have a motion?
Taylor moves.
Taylor moves. Brian seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all so very much, and may I wish each of you a very happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.